So today we're going to be speaking about green tea kombucha and the differences of specifically what types of tea to use for your kombucha. So first off, a little background on myself. Before I started GetKombucha.com, I had the amazing privilege to work with a really cool, renegade, awesome tea company and learn from just an incredible mentor whose background was in Ayurveda and healing herbs as well as teas. So a lot of the stuff I learned about tea and then have taken into my own company and site has been from my experiences before with this gentleman and with his company. A little shout out to him. So when everything started, right? When tea started, all tea, we're talking about Camellia sinensis, the plant, the tea plant, was green tea. And then it wasn't until tea was exported into primarily England and then subsequently Russia that it got oxidized. Pretty cool story. I mean, tea has a huge history, but we'll do story time another video, another article. But through that oxidation, the tea, green tea, became black tea. And then there's other stages of tea. We have oolong, we have white tea, we also have something called pu'er, which is a fermented tea, but not fermented like kombucha. The leaves themselves are fermented. So oxidation, real quickly, just to give you paint the picture. If you bite into an apple, you look into that apple, nice and crunchy, that apple is white. Think of that as green tea. Now you let that apple sit out. Let's say your friend calls you and you're enjoying that conversation. You get back to your apple. What happens to that apple? It turns a little bit brown, right? And that's oxidation. So these tea leaves that start off as a white or green tea slowly become oxidized. They literally go through a process of, and there's different processes for different teas, but the essential oils cover the leaves, get hit with oxygen, air, and begin oxidizing those tea leaves into a black tea. What's also pretty cool is that each type of tea from the same plant, much like wine, right? We're talking about all wine comes from grapes, but there's different types of grapes, and then there's different things you can do to the grapes to make different styles of wines, right? So green teas, white wine and red wine, I think primarily is based on the skin, whether the skin is remained on those grapes. So what's pretty cool is that using the type of tea we use for kombucha will also yield a different flavor profile as well as a different health profile. For example, green tea has high amounts of EGCG. Now that's an acronym for a word that I cannot 100% pronounced correctly, so we'll just leave it at EGCG. But it also, green tea also tends to, depending on the type of green tea, higher levels of antioxidants. Now, is that to say that black tea then is worse? No, because black tea has other things in it that green tea does not. So, a few things. One is I would recommend, if you're just looking to brew one batch of kombucha tea and you're starting out, use a blend of both. Something like our organic signature kombucha tea blend, which is a blend of 5 different select teas, all different green teas and black teas and so on and so forth. Another thing that you could experiment with, moving on with your kombucha brewing education and kombucha doing, not just kombucha brewing education, but you're actually doing this stuff, is to brew one batch of kombucha using green tea and do another batch of kombucha using black tea. And this idea of experimenting can be taken to then using other teas, as well as when we get into more advanced brewing, combining these teas with other herbs. So really the potential is endless. When you start to think of all the possibilities of what you can do with your brewing, it's just amazing. You get excited. Start off with Camellia sinensis of a blend and then break them out to see what is your personal best flavor. To get even more free kombucha videos to take your kombucha brewing to the next level, check out GetKombucha.com/free.